First off, I want to say I apologize for the kids being asleep in the background. It's been a long day, but I chose to do my builder lecture on Chapter 9, Microbial Nutrition and Growth. There is three parts to this. 9.1, Microbial Nutrition, 9.2, Environmental Factors that Influence Microbes, and 9.3, The Study of Microbial Growth. 9.1, Microbial Nutrition. This is, first off, I want to give you the definition of nutrition. Nutrition is how microbes acquire nutrients from their environment to support cellular functions and growth. Any substance, whether in elemental or molecular form that an organism must have, is called an essential nutrient. Types of nutrients are macronutrients, which are needed in large amounts, like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. Micronutrients are needed in smaller amounts, like trace elements and vitamins. Inorganic nutrients are simple molecules or atoms that are not based on carbon-hydrogen structures, like water or salts. And organic nutrients, they contain both carbon and hydrogen, and they're usually produced by living organisms like sugars and amino acids. Carbon and nitrogen and oxygen sources. A heterotroph is an organism that must obtain its carbon in an organic form. An autotroph is an organism that uses inorganic CO2 as its carbon source. The main reservoir of nitrogen is nitrogen gas, which makes up 79% of the Earth's atmosphere. And oxygen plays an important role in the structural and enzymatic function of the cell. Hydrogen and phosphorus and sulfur sources. Hydrogen is found in all organic and many inorganic compounds. It is important for maintaining the pH, forming hydrogen bonds, and serving as a source of free energy. Phosphorus is the main source. I'm so sorry. The main source is phosphate from phosphoric acid, and it is essential for nucleic acids and vital to the genetics of cells and viruses. Sulfur is found in the environment as mineral forms. It is crucial for the structure of proteins, particularly in amino acids, and it affects their shape and their stability. How microbes feed, nutritional types. The main determinants of a microbe's nutritional types are how it gets its carbon and how it gets its energy. Phototrophs are microbes that use photosynthesis to feed. Chemotrophs are organisms that oxidize compounds to feed on nutrients. Microbes that photosynthesize are phototrophs, and those that gain energy from chemical compounds are chemotrophs. An example of an autotroph is a photoautotroph who gets its energy from sunlight and its carbon from CO2. An example of a heterotroph is a photoheterotroph who also gets its energy from sunlight, but it gets its carbon source, it's organic. Examples of autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs is a photoautotroph, a chemoautotroph, a chemoorganic autotroph, and a chemolithoautotroph. And heterotrophs are photoheterotrophs, chemoheterotrophs, saprobe, and parasites. 9.2, environmental factors that influence microbes. Temperature. The minimum temperature is the lowest point that still allows microbial growth and metabolism. The highest temperature is the maximum temperature is the highest temperature at which growth and metabolism can continue. The optimum temperature is a narrow range between the minimum and the maximum, where microbial growth and metabolism occur most rapidly. There are different types of microbes by temperature preference. There are psychrophiles, which thrive below 15 degrees Celsius, and they can grow at 0 degrees Celsius. Mesophils, which are most human pathogens and they prefer moderate temperatures, and then thermophils, which grow best above 45 degrees Celsius. Gases, the atmospheric gases that most influence microbial growth are oxygen and carbon dioxide. Um, Oxygen has the greatest impact on microbial growth. An anaerobe can cause gaseous oxygen in its metabolism and possesses the enzymes needed to process toxic oxygen products. An organism that must have oxygen is an obligate aerobe. A facultative aerobe is a microbe that does not require oxygen for its metabolism and is capable of growth in the absence of it. A microaerophil does not grow at normal atmospheric concentrations of oxygen, but it does require a small amount of it in its metabolism. Part two of gases. An anaerobe lacks the metabolic enzyme system for using oxygen in respiration. Obligate anaerobes lack the enzymes for processing toxic oxygen. They cannot tolerate any free oxygen in the immediate environment, and they will die if they are exposed to it. Aerotolerant anaerobes do not utilize oxygen, but they can survive and grow to a limited extent in its presence, and they're not harmed by oxygen. Osmotic pressure and hydrostatic pressure. Osmotic, although most microbes exist under hypotonic or isotonic conditions, a few of them, which are called osmophils, they live in habitats with a high solute concentration. Halophils are microbes whose growth is either stimulated by salt or requires high concentrations of salt for growth. Hydrostatic, the ocean depths subject organisms to various degrees of hydrostatic pressure. Deep sea microbes called barophils exist under pressures that range from a few times over 1,000 times the pressure of our atmosphere. 9.3, the study of microbial growth. The basis of population growth, which is binary fission. The division of a bacterial cell occurs mainly through binary fission. This means that one cell then becomes two, it splits and becomes two. The parent cell enlarges, it duplicates its chromosome, and then it starts to pull its cell envelope together in the center of the cell. After that, the cell wall eventually forms a complete central septum, and it divides the cell into two daughter cells. It just splits it. And that's all I got. I know it was short, but today has been a really, really busy day. So I apologize.